The Minister for Small Business Development, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, has announced a package of instruments to improve access to funding for SMMEs. For more, we're joined by our economics reporter, Liabo Setho. Liabo, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Colin.
Well, I've seen you were attending the press conference, and as they were unpacking what this funding was all about, it must have sounded interesting.
It was, because I've got a special interest in small businesses, and also because small businesses themselves, one of the key chief complaints about small businesses is the lack of funding, right? So it was quite a welcome development to hear, at a national level, the Minister of Small Businesses say that, look, there'll be certain instruments, and in fact, it's not new, but they are tweaking the way CFA works and CEDA works. I'm sure a lot of our entrepreneurs who are watching us today are familiar with those financing institutions. So basically saying that they're going to start making sure that there's easy access to these agencies. So you would have one at a municipal office, for instance. So that reduces the time frame in terms of you wanting to go to their head office, for instance, so it can be closer to you if you are living in a township or wherever. So easier accessibility, which I found that was quite useful. And she also talked about the turnaround time when you're applying for the funding itself. Okay, so that sometimes you find that when you are an entrepreneur or a small business person, you make applications and turnaround takes too long, and at that time you are supposed to be busy running your business, but here you are waiting for this answer, whether you are going to get the 500,000 or the a million or however much you've applied for. So when you go there by yourself and you hand deliver the application forms, you actually now get an immediate response about whether you are successful or not. So that tells you that you can now know whether you're going to other people to look for funding if you are unsuccessful, and if you are successful, what the next step would be. And of course, if you are doing it online, she says that now the turnaround time will be around 2 hours, 2 days rather, 2 working days. So which I found that was also important. But the one that stood out for me, Colin, was the issue of blended financing, as they said. You'll remember that most of the time financing that was given to small businesses by these agencies would be in the form of grants, right? And you would not necessarily need to pay it back. So now they're putting more responsibility on the business and the business owner to say, we are going to put less emphasis on the grant, and we're going to give you debt or equity, right? So a loan that you need to pay back. And on top of that, you have the responsibility of creating around 10 jobs. But there will be monitoring systems in place to make sure that those people don't get fired as soon as you've gotten your 10 million that you applied for. Now you've got the 10 million, now the 10 people also have to go. So they'll have monitoring and compliance to make sure that those people remember. The key role of small businesses is also to create jobs. In your America, in your Europe, they account for around 70 to 90% of job creation. However, in South Africa, it's 30% and low that job creation is created by small businesses. So at the investment conference last week, the South Africa Investment Conference, a lot of emphasis was put on the fact that, we have to, small businesses have to be supported in order for them to start creating jobs. And when I did speak to some of the entrepreneurs that had attended there, this was a welcome development.
So there has been a problem with delayed payments to small businesses. So far, how are things going to change going forward in as far as these new tools of funding are concerned?
Unfortunately, at this time, that was not discussed. We know that, for instance, in the Western Cape, where the Patricia de Lille operates in her office, she is spearheading that in her department to make sure that small businesses get their money within 30 days. And at the investment conference itself, it was also flagged by the president that they are going to have measures in place to make sure that particularly organs of states are the one that pay at the prescribed time of 30 days. We know the number of businesses that have been liquidated and insolvent and gone under because of lack of payment when you are contracted to give services to government departments. If you don't get that money within 30-day period, it always becomes a problem and puts your business at risk.
Yeah. Well, let's hope this is going to put a shot in the arm for small businesses.
Let's hope so,
and
indeed.
I'm looking forward to watching your show tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
I don't want to steal your thunder. Perhaps you have a surprise for us tomorrow.
It's always interesting, but tomorrow we are going to obviously have a featured business of the week where we are going to look at the male grooming industry. I know you're going to be interested in that. And of course, we're going to also be speaking to the director at Sukhosan about their entrepreneurship awards.
All right, looking forward to that.
Thank you, Colin.
Right, yeah. Our drive for Entrepreneur Month continues right here on SA Today, and in the next hour, we have a guest who is also going to tell us about his success story right here on SA Today. So stay with us.